So that delay enabled us to fill the room and hopefully fill the Zoom.
And hopefully
So-
kill you if you walk past this,
Yeah.
so please don't.
So yeah, be careful.
Go
So
around the
without
side.
any further ado, let me introduce our wonderful state senator, Lori Berman.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and I want to acknowledge we have a couple candidates here in the room
Yeah.
tonight. I see Dan Eisinger, running for public defender, and Adam Frankel, running for public defender.
Yeah, very well.
What I'll tell you when to flip the slide.
Sure.
Is that how we're gonna do this? Okay.
There,
Okay, so I want to do a little bit the good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
Is there a camera? Do I need to be somewhere, or I can just,
No.
for the Zoom?
right here.
For the Zoom?
You are absolutely
Okay.
there.
For the Zoom. Okay.
Perfect.
Cool. So I was telling a few of you when we just came in that it was actually a little bit of a better session. Last year was horrible. I mean, we attacked every single group last year. LGBTQ people, immigrants, women's reproductive rights.
You're here now, Elle. She's talking.
What?
We
Oh.
mute everyone.
And this year, some of the Republican leadership grew a little bit of a backbone, which was really nice. And the chief executive was a little preoccupied. He was running his presidential campaign. And so he wasn't bothering us as much. So we had a lot of really, we didn't have as many bad bills, although there were supposedly 21 anti-LGBT pieces of legislation introduced. But of that, only one passed, and it was having to do with teachers. It wasn't as egregious. It's still egregious, but it wasn't as egregious as some of the others. And we also killed a bunch of other bills, which I'll talk about as we go through tonight. So that was the good news. That was the basic good news. All right, let's start. I'm gonna go to the PowerPoint.
Okay. Give me a second.
Let's-
Make it darker in here so we can.
Oh, yeah, turn off some lights.
Yeah, good, good.
Okay, we almost have that working. I wonder how you start it. Hang on.
Don't know.
That? Anybody know how, from beginning? From beginning, there we go. There you go.
Slideshow?
Yeah, we got a slideshow.
Does it say slideshow? You got it? Oh, it's good.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Looks good.
All right, let's go to the next one. We can get to the next one. You might have to help everyone.
Oh, wait. Okay, next one. Okay.
Okay, so that's a little bit about what we're gonna talk about tonight. My bills that I passed, funding projects, the budget, insurance, the good, bad, the ugly, and preemption. Go to the next slide, please. Okay, so I was successful in passing 4 bills. I feel a little echo. So you should probably turn off. I got 4 bills passed. You really got to turn off. Yeah, okay. The first one was anti-Semitism. We actually defined anti-Semitism in Florida statutes. We use the International Holocaust Remembrance Association definition. And the definition is basically what you would think, it's any kind of actions against people because they are Jewish or perceived to be Jewish. But there's 10 examples in the definition. And some of the examples include things like saying that Jewish people control the media. So the really good examples, and the reason why it was important to do it is, as you all know, anti-Semitism is on the rise here all over the country and in Florida too. So it allows us, we already have a hate crime statute, we have discrimination statutes, and now it gives some guidance to people in interpreting and applying those statutes. Some of you may know, a couple years ago, I passed a bill called the Purple Alert. And what that does, you may see the sign sometimes on the highway. It's very.
can't.
You gotta
No,
mute
It
everything.
doesn't go. I could move it.
I had one on Zoom.
Okay, hang
Yeah,
on.
you
Well,
gotta
it's
mute
shared,
You
so
can
hang
mute
on.
it.
You gotta mute them.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to get
Yeah.
somebody else
Mute
and then mute them.
everybody. My speakers. are
You hear her talking about the anti-Semitism?
You need to, if you're on and you're talking, we can hear you.
The people on Zoom can't hear anything.
We can't hear. We don't hear anything.
From legal experts, you all figure that it's on. All of these studies from.
Okay, go.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can the Zoom
Yes,
people hear
yes,
me?
the Zoom people can hear.
Okay,
Yes, we can hear now.
okay, but no more talking, okay? So the other two, can I go back to the PowerPoint?
Well, that's Trump, you know, every corner that he's standing on is a.
Okay, how can we get them to?
Okay, here we go. There you go.
Okay.
The camera fell.
Yeah, we'll get the camera up. You want to be upside down? Probably not.
Okay, the other two bills, I'm an estate planning attorney, so the Uniform Fiduciary Income and Principal Act has to do with estate planning and how you do it. And then the last one is really important, and that's sampling of public beach waters. Right now, when there is a problem, there was no like time frame for them to tell you that there's a problem with our beach waters, and no like required signage and no required closures. So this says that within 24 hours, they have to notify the public that there's a problem. They have to put a sign up, and if needed, if the water is really contaminated, they have to close the beaches. So really, that was a really big push for us to get that through, and really happy that we were able to be successful. Okay, next. So those are my bills that I passed. Okay, we have one requirement in Tallahassee, and that's to pass a balanced budget. And that is literally the only constitutional requirement that the legislature has. And we did do it this year. We passed, and we have a very robust economy right now. We passed $117 billion budget. Yeah, 117 billion. That's what we did also last year. So anybody who will tell you that things aren't so good, they're good, because we had the same budget last year, the same budget this year. Some of it is federal dollars, and make sure you tell people that about $40 billion is federal.
That's the same as last year.
Yeah, so, and some of that may be cut as some of the COVID relief funds are gonna end. But and one of the things that we all do in Palm Beach County is we are a donor county. We we're a wealthier county, so they take our money and they spread it all over the state, and we don't always get all of it back. So the Palm Beach County Legislative Delegation, we work really hard to bring you guys money back. So I was able to get a little over $17 million in the budget for projects here in Palm Beach County. Okay. This is just some different information about the budget. The budget, the highest category is healthcare. That's where we spend the most. The second highest is education, and it's pretty close up there. And then the rest is environmental projects. you know, of course, if I was in charge, the money would have gone in a different way. But I would say, I was pretty happy with the way the overall budget went. And we all voted unanimously in both chambers to support the budget this year. Okay. Okay, property insurance. Yeah, so, has anybody had their property insurance bills go down? Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
So,
yes.
Yours
I
did?
got a new roof.
Oh, good for
So it
you.
went down like $300.
Good for you. 300 for how many thousands you have to spend, right? Right.
Straps help. I mean, I got my roof strap, it didn't have any strap, it just had toenails, and I dropped it down by $2,800.
That's great.
I heard that too.
That's
Yeah,
great.
so check it, you know, make sure that
Yeah.
the house.
Can you come over to my house?
But yeah, and it's really, and you don't need a permit in order to put the straps on the roof. All they need to do is an incision on both sides, strap it, put it back, and yeah, and it will drop.
Good, okay, so, we have had a bunch of special sessions where they did some things about property insurance and they were before this year. And so when we went back to them with ideas for this year and said, like, what are we gonna do about property insurance? They said, the Republican leadership said, well, we did all these things in special sessions, so we're gonna wait. And we're gonna see if it has an impact, which is crazy because your bills are going up like crazy. And why aren't we addressing it better? So the only things we did this year, which is similar to what you said, there's a program called My Safe Florida Home. And what it does is you can get up to $10,000 to mitigate hurricane possible damage in your house. You can do doors, you can do windows, you can do roof straps. And you have to pay $2 for every dollar that you get from the state. The problem is everybody wants it and it runs out of money. This year, we did what we should have they put about 400 million in the program so far. This year we put 200 million in and it'll be available starting July 1st. But we did what should have been done before, which was give priority to low-income people and seniors. So over 60. So if you're in that category, if you're low income and senior, on July 1st, there's going to be money available and you should apply. You get a free inspection. They will come to your house if you qualify. They'll come to your house, do the inspection and tell you what are the things you can do to mitigate the damage. For low income and elderly, you don't have to spend $2 for every dollar you get. So you can get the $10,000 if you're low income and elderly, but that's the maximum.
What counts as low income?
What?
What counts as low income?
It's pretty low. It's pretty low. It's a certain percentage of the poverty level, but it's pretty low.
Okay.
That we also did a pilot program this year for condominiums, because up till now, this is only applied to single family homes and townhomes, but townhomes don't get roofs. That's been an exception. Now we're gonna allow it for condominiums. We put $30 million. The maximum a condo association can get is $175,000. That will open up also July 1. And we are taking a list in my office. I have Evelyn DeClesi here with me. We are taking a list. So if you want to be on the list for your condo association, and believe me, this money is going to go really quickly. So if you want it, make sure you're part of it. We all support this program. I think it's a great idea because if you do some of this mitigation, hopefully your insurance rates will go down. So that's really pretty much the only thing. We also said that citizens property insurance, we don't want them doing second homes anymore in the state. So if a surplus lines carrier comes in and makes an offer to somebody who has a second home, they have to, if it's within 20% of their current rate, they have to take that and you'll be kicked out of Citizens. So that's one thing, we're worried about Citizens. All of us own Citizens. The state of Florida owns Citizens. If there is a big hurricane, we can all be assessed. Even if you don't have it through citizens, you can be assessed. So pray for no hurricanes and, you know, we're gonna continue. But we were very disappointed, the Democrats, that nothing was done. And I think rightfully so, everybody's disappointed, and I'm really sorry. And I mean, I had a bill, for instance, and I just think it's a no-brainer, and they wouldn't do it. In 2008, we put together a council of people, of involved stakeholders. So it could be the insurance companies, the reinsurance companies, the trial attorneys, the roofers, homeowners, and let them give us ideas, because we're not doing it. The legislature has not addressed the situation. We're where we are because the legislature let it get to where we are. So let's hear from some experts in the field and we did that in 2008, and we took some of their ideas. So, but they said to me, no, we're happy with they wouldn't hear my bill at all. They said, we're happy with the way things are, and we're gonna wait. Now, so what we have seen is that there are 8 new carriers in the state of Florida. But what we have also seen is that there was a report that a lot of the carriers in Florida are very undercapitalized. So you've got some companies coming in that may have real problems if there's a hurricane or there's a lot of claims. So we will see. I mean, I think people are so upset that next year there hopefully will be some action on property insurance. Okay.
What actually can be done about it?
Well, that's why I said you
Okay,
put a panel together. There was an idea to take windstorm out, make windstorm separate. There was an idea to make citizens windstorm only. Have citizens be the carrier of windstorm only. And so there's ideas out there.
Right.
There's also a cat fund that we have that has 2 billion in it. Maybe we could use it in a different manner. There are ideas, but they weren't open to them this year. They're good. Okay. The best bill that we passed this year was the #1 priority of the Senate President. It's called Live Healthy Act. What it said, the reason for behind the bill is she said we have 1,000 people moving to Florida every day, and they're not all coming down with their healthcare professionals. And we've got an elderly population, and we're gonna need more and more healthcare professionals. So she said, let's figure out what we can do to bring more healthcare professionals down here. And so it's a very comprehensive bill. For instance, we're creating more medical residencies, because the belief is that if you do your residency in an area, you often stay in that area. We're doing student loan forgiveness, and it's not just for doctors, it's for all healthcare providers. I mean, we need techs, we need nurses, we need everyone. We're doing a diversion program so that people don't use the hospital as their emergency room. So they're going to be diverted from the hospital to a clinic, hopefully, so that we can keep the hospital emergency room for what its purpose is. So it's a really good bill. It was unanimous. The one thing the Senate President warned us before we started, she said, we will not discuss Medicaid expansion, which was really disappointing, because in my view, if we did Medicaid expansion, we would bring in like $4 billion from the federal government. And we have about 800,000 people right now who have no insurance, and they're working poor. These are people who have 2 and 3 jobs, and they can't afford insurance because they can't afford the Obamacare subsidies, and they end up in the hospitals very sick. They don't get preventative care, and then we pay for it anyway, because they have to be treated once they come to the hospitals. So disappointed that wasn't discussed, but happy that we did Live Healthy. Last year, you may have remembered, we did Live Local, which was also the Senate President's priority, and that was to have more affordable housing. They're working on it, but they did a glitch bill this year to try and fix some of the issues, because they had a lot of density issues. Like, they were basically saying you could build multifamily housing next to a single family house, and they fixed some of those glitches that we're gonna see. We did put in effect an HIV infection program. Veterinary practices were allowing telehealth. Coverage for skincare screening. You can, if they find that you have a mole or something, you can get follow-up treatment without having to pay additional costs. So that was really good. Okay. Okay, these are a couple other things. The big one on here is the Dozier School for Boys. We've been hearing about this for years and years in Tallahassee. There was a school where they sent troubled kids, and the kids were raped, beaten, and even killed. There's graveyards there. It's horrible. And finally, this year, after a lot of discussion, they put $20 million in the budget, and there are still people alive who are survivors from this school. They're like in their 60s and 70s. And we're going to give them some compensation for what they suffered. So that was a really emotional and a good bill that we're finally trying to give reparations for some of the really horrible things, because the schools were run by the state also. Okay, next. Okay, the bad. So we did what we jokingly refer to as stand your ground for bears. So right now, if a bear is on your property and you feel threatened, you can kill that bear. That's the law right now. If you're threatened, you can kill that bear. But for whatever reason, they wanted it to be even stronger. So now if the bear comes on so that's if you're worried about bodily harm. Now, if the bear comes on your property, you're allowed to kill the bear. So we were really against it, and people have attractive nuisances on their property. You could have food underneath your porch, and the bear is going to come because you have food underneath your porch, and then you're going to be able to kill that bear. So it was really a disappointing bill, and for those of us on our side, there was a lot of discussion about it.
I'm a little lost on that. So people who want to shoot bears can just leave their food out and when the bear comes, shoot them.
Much. I mean, we had a bear hunt a couple of years ago in the state, and it happened. So many people went out and did it that they had to stop the bear hunt like very early. And I think this is like a precursor to trying to get another bear hunt. That's the ultimate goal, is they want to be able to say. And really, I spent a lot of time in Colorado. What we need to be doing is having bear-proof garbage cans and straps and making it so that we protect the bears like no other. Colorado has more bears than we do, and they don't go around shooting the bears like we just gave people permission to do. The education preparation program, that was the one anti-LGBT bill that passed. It says that teachers basically can't use any courses that have diversity, equity, and inclusion in them for their qualifications to be teachers. The Pregnancy and Parenting Resources website, that was brought by the same woman who brought the 6-week abortion ban in the state. And basically it's, they're gonna give people out information, and it's gonna be about like crisis pregnancy centers, which, as most of you know, they are fake areas where they talk people out of getting abortions. The ethics. So the ethics bill started out really good. We wanted to have like things start out good. So we wanted to have like more ethics investigations and have them be done in a timely manner, especially like in campaign ethics. Somebody will make a complaint and the whole campaign goes, and the campaign's done by the time the ethics complaint is looked at, and then the campaign is over. So we wanted to have like really good time frames and everything. On the floor at the very end, they put an amendment on, and we didn't know exactly what was going on. We questioned them about the amendment. And then I found out how bad the amendment was. So what the amendment says is that if you have an ethics group, they can't bring their own investigations. Somebody has to file a complaint, and that person can't do it using hearsay. they have to have firsthand knowledge. So then after this passed, and then it went to the House, and it did get bumped back to us, which was good. I got some calls from Palm Beach County has its own ethics commission. And it was put together by the voters in 2011. It was we voted for it. And I got calls from the members of our ethics commission, and they told me half of the complaints in Palm Beach County are self-initiated. Half are self-initiated. And you know what? Those half are now done. We're not allowed to do that anymore. I am going to try and bring a bill next year to reverse that, but I don't know if it will be successful.
Did he sign that bill?
I don't know if he signed it yet.
I don't think.
I don't know if he has.
He's under pressure, so I don't.
I hope, I hope he doesn't sign it. So, yeah, call the governor. Tell him you don't want him to sign that ethics bill.
Listen.
Yeah. Consumer finance loans, we raised the amount that people will have to pay for interest. So now it's up to 36%.
Thank you.
Yeah, on consumer finance loans. I tried really hard to do something about internet loans. I don't know if any of you are familiar with them. I was not. They claimed they need this consumer finance law because they said what's going on is people are going on the internet and they're getting loans that are like 90%. The internet is a totally unregulated area. And they said, so they had to raise their rates so that they could, I guess, compete. I don't know, so I said, well, let's get rid of all those internet loans. And I almost got there, but we couldn't get there. But I'm going to bring it again next year because most people, my colleagues, understand that 90% internet loans are crazy. There's been some legal challenges. It's been done in other states, and they've seemed to have worked it out, figured out how to get around the legal challenges, and we'll bring it back next year. But very disappointing.
Excuse me, isn't it just like the payday loan?
These are
Because
not
they seem to
payday
be-
loans,
this-
I know.
I'm saying, but they are very similar.
Yeah,
You
they
still
are.
have the over 300%.
Right, you can never
And-
get ahead, you can
and-
never get out of it.
That's
It's
right, and
it's
it's mostly
vicious.
minorities, very big.
Yes. Yes, so the consumer loans are not payday loans, but
But
same
yeah.
idea, and the internet loans are just awful. Okay, next one. Okay, the ugly. So when I say the ugly, the reason why it's not just bad to me is it's probably unconstitutional. Yeah, so the very first one was signed yesterday by the governor,
Yeah.
school chaplains. And so this was one of the worst bills that we did this year. Lots of really bad things about the bill. First, obviously, separation of church and state issues. That's first, and there probably will be a challenge on that. Second, the chaplains don't have to have any requirements. Like when you're a military chaplain, you have to be licensed and you have to get training. The only requirement of the chaplains is that they have to have a background check, fingerprints. That's it. No license. And you can say you're from any church. I'm a Wiccan. I'm gonna do Santeria. You can do, there's no requirements. There's no requirements to have more than one religion. It's just, the one thing is it is voluntary for school boards. So my guess is Palm Beach County is not gonna be doing it, but you're gonna see it in other rural
You have to
counties
be a
of the state.
Republican.
What?
You have to be a Republican. Is that the one?
Right,
requirement?
Yeah, so the reason why they said this, they needed this bill is that our kids are having mental health issues and they need, to bring God back in and help them, but like what we said to them, yeah, the kids are struggling, but what you should be doing is having social workers, having guidance counselors, having school psychologists. If you're gonna address the problem, really address it and make sure the people who are doing this are licensed and have the background to be able to talking to these kids. They're gonna pull them out of class. They're gonna talk. Their parents aren't gonna be there. The parents are gonna have no idea what these chaplains say to the children. So
Can you imagine if they're gonna try to do conversion therapy on some of these kids?
they could, they could, they could, they could. I mean, they could do Santeria. We asked, you know, could you be like killing animals? You know, we don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, the whole thing was crazy.
Iguana.
They'll probably increase 5013Cs, a lot of tax issues that they wanna get away with too.
They
Things
could.
that kinda create-
Yeah, to create these chaplaincies, yeah, I mean, so we will see. Okay,
Yes, Michael, you can be a chaplain.
This constitutional challenges, the problem with that is
it's all
that.
taxpayer money.
Well, no,
Well,
not only
that's a
that,
great
not only
point.
that, DeSantis keeps winning.
Well, because
That he shouldn't win
Right, 'cause he's
because of
stacked
the
the court.
11th Circuit and he appointed 5 of the 6
Right,
Supreme Court
right,
justices.
Right, he did, he
They-
stacked it, yeah, you're right, we used to, the court used to be our backstop, not any backstop, not anymore. Second one, interestingly, this is the internet TikTok, for kids. This was a very mixed bill. We had some Democrats who supported it, I voted against it. There are people who say that Facebook and all these companies are targeting our kids, and that's probably true. It probably is bad. But what the bill says is that no child under 14 can have an account that has certain addictive features. So it's probably almost every one. They wouldn't give us a name. We would say, like, is it TikTok? Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? They wouldn't, they just said it has to have these addictive features. And then if you're 15 or 16, you can have the accounts if your parents agree. And then over 16, you can have the accounts. I worry a lot about, I think this has some First Amendment problems with it. And so I voted against the bill because I'm an attorney and I think that there's too many problems with it. We'll see. This is like a nationwide issue. It's gonna be resolved somewhere in some court. Because a lot of other states are doing the same thing with kids and limiting their access. And also think about it though. These kids are so smart. They are gonna get around all this. You know, we can say it all we want. They're gonna figure out how to get around whatever we do. So we'll see. Oh, public camping. Yeah, that's another pretty bad bill. The cities and counties are freaking out about this bill and rightfully so. So what they said is nobody can be sleeping on public property. Which was interesting. I think they revised it because we said, what about the beach? You know, we don't fall asleep on the beach all day. And I think they took that out. But you can't be like at a bus stop or anything like that. And if you are, they have to remove you. And if a business owner has a business nearby and if they say, this is hurting my business that this person is sleeping here, they can actually sue the city because it is now the city's responsibility to make sure those people aren't there. So we're kind of criminalizing homelessness. And what they said is, if your county or your city or your municipality doesn't have enough beds, then you have to set up an area for people who are unhoused to live. And that area has to have running water. You have to have mental health services, and you can't be near a residential area, like a NIMBY kind of thing, not in my backyard. And we gave the cities and counties no money to do that. So it's a total unfunded mandate to the cities and counties saying, here, now you have to set up a tent city, and the tent city has to have all these services. And so I know we're having a meeting in Palm Beach County a week from Monday, I think, to talk about this bill, because nobody knows how we're going to be able to implement this bill and what it's going to mean if we're going to be criminalizing and jailing people who are homeless. We don't know how it's all going to play out. So one of them also not great bill. Oh, okay. These three we stopped. So I wanted to tell you, I started to tell you at the beginning. I see, I wait, there's a duplicate, yeah. We did have some good victories this year, and these were 3 really good victories. There's some few more. Let me see if I can find some of the other. Oh, I know the third one. Okay, so the first was they tried to give fetal personhood, and which would, if Florida does fetal personhood, then we're going to have a problem with abortion, even if we pass the abortion amendment.
Right.
there's gonna be a problem. So that one we were successful in stopping. The second one, they tried to say that you can't take any monuments out ever, ever. So like, if Florida State had a statute of O.J. Simpson and they wanted to remove it, the law would say you cannot. The only thing you would be allowed to do is put a plaque up saying, by the way, O.J. Simpson was found guilty of killing his wife. And it was awful. I sat on the committee that heard that bill, and we went over time. It was late at night, and people were testifying, and some white nationalist people got up and started testifying in support of the bill, and it was awful. And they were saying, we need white power, and so that, which the good news is those people killed the bill. Nobody wanted to talk about that issue anymore. Another bill that we stopped in the Senate, it's not on this list, but was after Parkland, we lowered the age for children to purchase guns. We lowered it, we raised it from 18 to 21. The House tried to lower it back to 18, but the Senate would not hear it at all. So it did not pass, still 21 in the state to be able. So really, some really good positive things were killed this year. Okay. Preemption. Preemption is when we take the power in the state of Florida because we say we know more, we know better than the localities. Remember, we have 67 counties. Palm Beach County has something over 30 cities. So do you think every one of those cities has the same issues that Florida should be telling them all how they need to do it? Unfortunately, no. I'm a big believer that home rule and the government closest to the people knows what's best for their people. But unfortunately, my colleagues in the legislature don't feel that way. So I'll go over the bottom three first. The Department of Agriculture, we preempted the ability to regulate electric charging stations. So now only the state can regulate them. And as part of that bill, we also strangely did away, the state of Florida cannot have any cultivated meat. And cultivated meat is like a new thing that they're doing. And it's a high-tech thing, why they want to cut off a whole industry. They also, in that bill, it was very weird. They took out a lot of references to climate change. We're going back to the Rick Scott when we can't talk about climate change. And they said that we can't have any windmills offshore. Now, right now, we don't have windmills offshore because Florida doesn't have enough wind to justify it, but they preempted it for if it ever got to the point where we could have it, we can't have it. It was a very strange bill. Public works projects. We said that cities can't give preferences to businesses that have a minimum wage, require a minimum wage or a living wage, which is pretty unfortunate. We also said that cities can't regulate anything having to do with the workers and heat exposure.
Right.
So cities can't mandate that there be water breaks, can't mandate that there be shade. Really unfortunate that they wouldn't. And it was in response because Miami started to put an ordinance out. And they were like, oh, no, all the businesses came together and unfortunately they did that. Local regulation of non-conforming and unsafe structures. This bill was out last year and it was really, really controversial last year and they got it through this year. So what it says is if you have a building, it could be a hotel, it could be anything that's kind of falling apart because in Florida, buildings fall apart. Even if it's in a historic district, they're allowed to tear it down and they don't have to rebuild it the same. There's no requirement to make it, go along with the way it was. They did exempt the city of Palm Beach and St. Augustine. And I think some of Miami Beach got exempted from that. But it's concerning because we want our historic districts. I mean, certainly Del Rey has a great historic area and we want to keep the character. So we'll see how that goes. The last one is the biggie, vacation rentals, Airbnb. This has been a war. In the 14 years I've been in the legislature, a war all the way through. Between the cities want to regulate them more and the states saying, no, 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 we need to have these Airbnbs and things. So this year the state won, which was surprising. They finally prevailed on this issue. So what they said is cities and counties can no longer regulate basically anything having to do with Airbnbs. And included in that bill, it talked about occupancy. I mean, they were like, you know, if that Airbnb can have 2 people in a room, if it's 50 feet or more. The only thing that they did leave to the cities, well, and that's, if you had it, your law in effect before 2014, your law stays. But what they did say is the cities and counties can require them to register. They can have to pay a fee to register, and they're allowed to do inspections, and they're allowed to charge a fee for that. But other than that, all the regulations, I mean, they put things in there about noise, because that's the big issue. You know, people rent a house and they have a party. And what do? You're the next door neighbor. Who are you gonna call? You're gonna call the city of Delray. They put things in there about, like, basically you have to call the Department of Business and Professional Regulations in Tallahassee now, as if they're gonna do anything about it. They did say that there has to be a phone number, that each property has to have a phone number, but I don't know how we're gonna get the word out for who gets the phone numbers.
We do actually have that issue in our HOA. Where we do limit rentals, but they specifically exempted Airbnb from normal rental regulations in the documents. You have to pass special language in the declaration, not even rules, it's gotta be in the declaration. Now, does this,
The
Does this-
HOA rules still govern. HOAs govern. So if you're in an HOA, your HOA rules will still govern, but if you're not in an HOA, the state.
but you can
rules.
still pass them if they're not in there?
I believe you can. HOAs, I think, can always do what they want to do. But like you said, you're gonna have to change your declaration, but it's not so easy. That's not such
We
an
know.
easy thing to
So,
do.
so you're still able to rent it and you still have to pay the TDT taxes. to the
Yes,
county.
yes, you do, which is a nightmare. If you've ever done it. I did it. It was
Yeah, I
not
know.
fun. Okay, let's see, what else do we have? This might be the end.
But apparently
Is that
the end.
Yeah, okay, that's my last one. How are we doing on time? Okay, good. So I know we took a couple questions all the way through as we went through, but happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
See if anybody has a check.
Sure, Adam.
So, any, talk about auto insurance, because I know property
right.
insurance is a
Right.
big topic, but the auto insurance really has gone up as well.
Yeah, there was none. There was zero talk about auto insurance, but they know that we're talking about it. Constituents are talking about it. So maybe next year we'll come back and talk about it. I mean, if you remember, one of the things about property insurance that we always said, well, why are we letting all these companies come in and pick and choose what kind of insurance they want to give in the state? And what, if you're gonna write property insurance in the state, maybe you better write auto also. But now that auto's going up, I don't know if that would be such a good thing to have bundling or not. We don't have bundling in the state, so not sure how it's gonna all play out, but no discussion at all. on auto
I have a
insurance.
couple of Zoom people.
Sure.
Irene wants to know, what is the role of the school chaplain, and if school chaplains are permitted in schools, what about rabbis? I'm not
Absolutely.
kidding.
No, rabbis are
Oh,
permitted.
that's pretty.
Any religion, any
And,
religion.
and Glenda wants to know, HB 433, can you talk about it?
That's
I don't know.
I just talked about it last night on
Oh,
a phone call.
okay.
So that's the heat exemption bill. HB 433 is the heat exemption bill. And it says that what I talked about, that you can't require anybody to have any regulations. And it also has something about not requiring a living wage when a county or city bids out a project. You know, you're the county, or the city, and you want to give a preference to somebody who's paying a living wage so that people can make a living and work. And now under HB 433, you're not gonna be able to have that anymore. Yeah.
Other questions? Anybody on Zoom, you can unmute, ask a question.
We got one over here in the audience.
I read recently that Publix is showing a 35% increase in profits this year.
Wow.
And Florida has the highest inflation rate of any state in the country. Is the legislature doing anything to address that?
That's adorable, right?
Or,
Right.
or are they doing anything to prevent doing anything?
Yeah, absolutely not. There was no discussion, and we need to make that point, that Florida has the highest inflation rate in the whole country.
Yeah.
Because our government is out for big business and not out for helping the people with their pocketbook issues.
Miami has an inflation rate of about 7.5%.
Wow, well, that is that.
The national average now of 3.1%.
But
Steve,
that's housing a lot of it too, so,
Well, it's the highest of any city in the country.
wow. wow.
the last issue of the Delray Democrat, I have a graph of inflation nationally and in Miami area, our corridor, and then on the west coast, St. Pete, Tampa. And it's 2% higher right across the board,
Wow.
and
Wow.
DeSantis talks about Biden and inflation, and people are not getting, I don't know why, I'm trying to get into
Yeah.
DeSantis' space.
Yeah, we
but,
do. We need to raise that issue. That's a big issue that we can be raising. It's Florida is the worst because our government doesn't care. I mean, and that's really, kind of to wrap it up, and then I'll give you my one fun bill that we did. To wrap it up, there were lost opportunities. That's what I would say for this session. It wasn't as horrible. We didn't have as many bad bills, but there were lost opportunities. People wanted us to do things about property insurance. People wanted us to do things about inflation. All the pocketbook issues that affects everybody who lives in this state were not addressed. And that's unfortunate that we had this. Okay, so my one good bill, let me tell you about, so once in a while we do some bills that are a little bit more lighthearted, which is good because it's pretty intense up there. Like you may remember last year we made strawberry shortcake the official dessert in Florida, but we kept key lime pie. Don't worry, it's our pie. So this year we honored our troubadour and we renamed Jacksonville A1A from Jacksonville to Key West, and it is now the Jimmy Buffett Memorial Highway. And we got to hear about the
Well
Jimmy
done,
Buffett songs.
well done.
We got to hear the songs, what, the whole way? Yeah.
A1A.
A1A. I mean, I think that it'll still say A1A, but they'll put like some signs up also.
US one.
A1A, Ocean Drive, Ocean Drive.
Say 1A, Key West?
Yeah. I guess, well, that's what they said to Key West.
Wherever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Isn't that, I mean, I've been saying, that should be the platform for the Democratic Party this year in the state races. I mean,
Yeah.
in inflation, insurance, housing,
Yeah.
all of those things. I mean, David wrote an article, the contract with Florida,
Right,
it worked for Gingrich.
right.
I mean, and if the Democratic Party does that, it could be very effective.
Right.
Like 7 or 8 points where the legislature with the
I mean,
supermajority has failed.
Right, we've been trying, and we call it the pocketbook issues. And we've been trying to get the word out, but yes, that's what we gotta do, and that's your marching orders for all of you in this room.
Yeah.
Speak to your neighbors and tell them, what is Tallahassee doing for your insurance, your car insurance and your house insurance? What are they doing for inflation? We're seeing the effects. Affordable housing, it takes a long time. We did pass that big bill last year, but not sure, need to do more, need to do something that's more immediate, because it's a problem.
Bob Avrak has a hand up.
And what does Bob say?
Bob?
Hey, Lori.
Hi,
How
Bob.
are you? Hi. Hey, I'm wondering if, while you're in Tallahassee, if there have been any utterances at all, regarding the upcoming, reproductive rights amendment, as far as any kind of shenanigans like what happened in Ohio and, anything like that's a threat.
Well, so I was lucky enough to go to the court argument. I got to hear when they argued the amendment to be on the ballot before the Supreme Court. So that was pretty cool. I could have told you then when I walked out, I knew that the 3 women were all gonna be against us. There's 4 men and 3 women. Thank God the 4 men supported us. All 3 women on the court voted no on that amendment. Yeah, they started asking questions about the Susan B. Anthony organization, which is anti-abortion, so I knew we were in trouble. But I felt good. I did think we were gonna be successful based on the questions that the men raised. So this is our chance, guys. This is it. We gotta get the word out. And you know what what I'm worried about is we'll be successful, God willing. And then the legislature will come back and try and pass like they did with the felons voting rights.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
this is also amended for.
right,
Yeah.
you're right. So, but I think it'll, I know that the people who wrote that amendment worked very hard to make it so that it would be hard to fight it. So we will see what happens, but let's get it passed.
Yeah.
In Florida, let's hit that 60%. And you heard we got recreational marijuana also, which is good for the young kids.
Yeah.
So.
Not just, but there's some people back here.
So those 2 things on the ballot, I think are really gonna help us, really be our saviors. But we gotta take advantage.
Yep.
We gotta make sure, I was out walking, we went out walking in Leisureville.
Leisureville,
Yeah, and it was really good. And we talked to people and they were really positive and friendly, but we all have to get out
Yeah.
and do that. Did you have a good experience?
It was great.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. The people were really nice, really happy. We talked to Democrats. We asked them if they had their vote by mail. We asked them if they knew anybody in their household who could register. So get out there. We need everybody to just spread the word. And you don't have, you could just talk to your neighbors, but it was really important. Did you have a question? Yeah, sure.
Something happened this morning about the standards and the banning of the books. There was something.
Oh, so he passed, so we did this one bill, they called it deregulation. So last year, after we attacked the public schools violently by putting in that voucher program, we're now at any homeschool parents get $8,000 per child to homeschool their children. Private schools get $8,000. And what we said was, of course, this money is all going to go to the private school parents who were never in the public school. And that's what happened. In Palm Beach County, something like 80% of the vouchers were kids never in public school.
Can we homeschool children who aren't ours?
Yeah, maybe. And so this year they came back and they said, oh, we're gonna pass this wonderful bill. We're gonna call it deregulation. And we're gonna talk to the superintendents and ask them what they want, because we already killed them last year and made their life so difficult by giving all this money away from them. So they asked them a couple things that they wanted. And one of the things they wanted was that we didn't have high stakes testing. So that if a kid doesn't pass that 10th grade reading, what happens now is if you don't pass the 10th grade English or the Algebra 2, you spend 11th and 12th grade trying to pass that test, and you may never pass it. And you don't get a regular high school diploma. So we said, if these kids have good grades, let them get a high school diploma and let them stop worrying about passing the 10th and test in 11th and 12th grade. Let them focus on vocational training or something else. So that was the really good thing in that bill. It was wonderful. And there were a lot of good things that I just saw the superintendent right now before this event, and he said, so they took that out, which was really disappointing. But the superintendent said there are a couple other good things in the bill, but as part of that bill, at the end, they threw in something about book banning. So DeSantis walks around the state saying that book banning is a hoax, but it's not. I mean, what's happened is Palm Beach County has not removed any books from shelves. Other counties have. Palm Beach County will move a book from an elementary to a middle or a high school, but they won't remove it. But what's happening is our teachers are self-censoring. They have a bookcase in their room and they're panicked and they take all the books out. So, and then other counties have actually removed books. So Florida has one of the highest amount of books that have been challenged in the country, or the highest in the country. And And so, and then I think Bill O'Reilly had a book that got challenged. Yeah. And so they,
And the Bible, yeah.
yeah, very.
In the dictionary.
Yeah.
In the dictionary.
So, when Bill O'Reilly's book got challenged, they all kind of went like, whoa, what are we doing? So they stepped back a little bit. So what they put in that deregulation bill is it says that if you don't have a child in the school system, you can only put in to have one book ban per month. So you can still ban books and any parent can put unlimited and you can go to the parent. Yeah, it was ridiculous. So they're saying that they made a difference on book banning. They didn't make any difference. But that was in the bill.
Is this also impacting our libraries? Are they
No,
being told to ban books, take them off the shelves? No.
the libraries are fine.
Lori?
First of all, thank you for coming to
Sure.
my handbook.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate it. Actually, it's more of a statement. I'm really concerned about the Kaplan bill. Because I think overriding everything is this erosion of, as Mike said, the separation of church and state. And I'm just asking everyone to please keep it in mind as we go along. Because remember, the so-called "Don't Say Gay" bill prevents teachers, school counselors, anyone from discussing not just gender, but sexuality. That's what most people don't understand. It's also sexuality, which is a primary worry and concern of teens. So if they can't go to the people, as you said, who are, trained, now they've got chaplains with no credentials to go to. And where the hell do you think those chaplains' views are gonna come from? It's the straight white Christian nationalist group.
No, I think they suffered a little bit of a setback in the court on the Don't Say Gay bill, and teachers are now
Yeah.
allowed to say that they're gay and have pictures of their
They can't
families.
discuss it with kids.
Right,
They can't
right,
counsel
yeah,
kids
no, I know,
anyway.
it's still a problem. Okay, one more question and then we're gonna wrap up.
Going back, the abortion and marijuana, 60% is a law, it's a high amount
It is.
for
Yeah.
approval, especially in a state that is Republican. So why is it, or who passed that?
We did in the legislature, and there was a bill, there's been a bill for the last 2 years to raise it to
Oh, I got you.
66.
Yeah.
They keep trying to raise it to 66. They haven't been successful yet. I think Rick Roth from Palm Beach County brings that bill. They haven't been successful on that, but they would like to make it higher because they know every good thing that we pass in the state has come from these citizens initiatives. But I will tell you, there's a lot of Republican women who are so upset. And remember, when they just came out with the decision that the abortion amendment could go on the ballot, they also said that the 15-week ban is okay, which meant that on May 1st, we will have a 6-week ban here in the state. And I think that's gonna work in our favor.
That's 2 kids.
Because it is gonna work in our favor, because when women start realizing that's a virtual ban, nobody knows they're pregnant at 6 weeks. So, I think that'll work in our favor. I think we will have Republican women crossover for us on that issue. So,
And all the youth.
yeah,
Only if the message gets out.
right. Well, I think
That's a
well,
big if.
well, they have money, the group, and give them money too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they are gonna get they've really done a great job organizing the amendment and getting it as far as we've gotten so far.
Right.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Got the line.
Okay,
Thanks.
that's it. Upcoming meetings, I'm glad, Adam and Dan are both here because
Yeah.
Oh, and Greg, yeah, no, but I'm thinking it's really the two of you. There's no one else running for a public defender, is there? Okay. So I think the next candidates night we're gonna have is with the two of you. There's 4 running for your temple.
Yes.
But I mean, we're the third Thursday of every month. You want to check the calendars if you're available, in May, we'd love to do
We'll
it.
check it out. Thank you.
Okay.
So I won't be able to
and
come
Greg,
next week, but is there a Zoom dial-in or how do I get on Zoom?
There is dial-in, but generally, when you come in on your phone or something, if you,
Typically, there would be a link.
There's only-
that someone.
Yeah.
sent out.
Okay,
yeah,
thanks,
okay.
everyone.
he sends it out.
Okay. And what's his name?
Michael.
Michael. Yep.
Talk to Char over there in the corner, she'll put you on the list.
Oh, okay. Good. Yeah, I will. Thank you.
Sure. All right, kids, we're saying good night. 5, 4, 3, 2, and sorry for the chaos at the beginning. 1. Bye, Bob. Bye, Sue.